right, Darian. So yesterday was the 11th anniversary of the Saskatchewan Roughriders winning the 2013 Grey Cup. You may have had a little something to do with that. Does it feel like, wow, 11 years, or does it feel like, wow, it was 11 years, but it doesn't feel like it.
Man, it flies. Time flies. The beauty of it is, and I don't want to say luckily, but we're still living in that moment a little bit because the team hasn't won since. So it's just the time has flown, and being in Regina last year for the 10-year reunion really brought back so many memories. So it's good to still live in the moment.
Oh, it is. But like looking at the calendar, it's like, wow, it's been 11 years. It doesn't, in my memory, it doesn't seem like that. Now, I saw the picture that you posted on social media. It's you in the locker room with the cigars and, and obviously you're wearing the shirt and just the giant smiles. Take us back? Was it a sense of relief once the game ended? Was it like, what was it? Jubilation? Was it relief? Joy? Was it finally like,
I mean,
what was going on?
it's all of those things. I mean, from the disappointments of 2009 and 10, and then leading up into a home playoff game, the way we revamped pretty much the entire roster leading up to that season, and just all the veterans we brought in. I mean, you just name so many different emotions and so many different things to describe how it felt. It's all of those things. So just ups and downs of my career leading up until that moment, and then to finally capitalize at home in front of Rider Nation and just be able to hoist the Grey Cup trophy on Taylor Field, man, it was just special.
It's funny, we don't hear the name Taylor Field much anymore, obviously, since they moved to Mosaic. Um, how late were you at Taylor Field till that night? Like, how long were you in the locker room and to hang around till?
Wow. Well, I mean, I was just with the guys, just sitting in the locker room reflecting for at least a couple hours afterwards. We wanted to let everything die down outside before we went outside, of course. But, we just wanted to soak in that moment. I mean, a lot of the core of that team, we had been through all the ups and downs of losing, winning, losing close friends, injuries, you name it. We've been through everything. So we took a lot of time to just reflect on everything and just enjoy the moment. So we were there a while. And then when we left the stadium, just the energy that was just all up and down the streets outside the stadium, down Dewdney, just everywhere around the city was just electric. And it's something I'll never forget.
I'm assuming you didn't pay for a drink that night. You probably haven't since.
Not at all.
What did you guys end up at a bar that night or a pub, or where did you eventually end up?
No, we really didn't. I mean, we would have been getting just overwhelmed just if we would have went into a bar or anything like that. So we just, tried to stay low key with our hats on, hoodies on. We walked up and down Dewey. We walked down, every little street that we could find fans in action. We didn't want to, park ourselves inside of a bar, but just thinking back to just the atmosphere outside, I'm sure everything was nice on the inside, drinks were flowing, but just the energy that was outside in the streets, just the raw, authentic, just, happiness that was going on outside. That's something I always remember.
Well, I wasn't there. I was a million miles away, but I was watching it. But I felt like that I was, and that's the beauty of Rider Nation. Doesn't matter where you are, how long
Yeah.
you've been away, and maybe you haven't been the most loyal to it. You can be brought back instantly, and that's the beauty of all that. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the CFL last week. We start with Ed Hervey being named the general manager of the Edmonton Elks / maybe they're going back to Esks or whatever it's going to be. He said that they're going to fix that, they're not going to be the laughing stock of the CFL anymore, and they're not going to be that franchise. Do you think Ed Hervey is the guy to turn things around in Edmonton?
Well, I think it's a great start. I mean, he's proven that he can build a team, a winning team at that. He's been great at hiring coaches, and he's a player's GM. He understands. He's played the game. He's played the game at a high level. So there's nothing that he doesn't understand when it comes to building a team. And The pieces are there, I think. I mean, the team has shown over the second half of the season that they're capable of winning games, capable of making plays. The foundation is there. It's all about whether he wants to move forward with Trey Ford or possibly go out and get a Vernon Adams Jr. So that those are some of the tough decisions that he's going to have to make. But I think the foundation is there, and hiring him is definitely a good start.
All right. It's Double Talk with Darian Durant. It's brought to you by Wolf Industries and Prairie Land Rentals. We do it every Monday at 5 o'clock here on the all-new Sports Cage. In BC, the rumor was no matter what was going to happen, that Amar Dolman was going to clean house. And so they fire the GM. They fire Rick Campbell. And the rumors he's going to end up in Edmonton. And I'm sure if you're Rick Campbell, maybe you're happy. You had a year left on your contract. You get a fresh start. You're not part of the Nathan Rourke circus anymore. If he ends up in Edmonton, and I said this to Charleston, as a Rider fan, instantly the Elks, I believe, have upgraded in general manager and coach, and they're not, it's not nothing against the former staffs, but I don't think the Edmonton Elks are going to be the free spot on the bingo card. It's not like they were, but all of a sudden, and the Elks are back in business because Rick Campbell, he's a good CFL coach.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to Ottawa, you look at what he's done in BC. I mean, he's shown and proven that he's a great CFL coach and he can get it done. I'm not sure if he was behind the Nathan Rourke decision making or if he had any role in that situation. I guess we'll never know. But a fresh start in Edmonton would definitely be something that I'm sure will pique his interest. And like I said, he's proven that he's a winner. He can, his relationship with Ed Hervey is definitely. You have to look at that as being at the forefront of this decision, and I think he'll be a good guy for the job.
Now, if you believe what they say on the internet, and why wouldn't you? Because it's all true. Even when Bomber fans say things, apparently the word is out there. And now you went through this a lot because you had multiple offensive coordinators in different years. There's a chance that Mark Mueller could be getting an interview to be the head coach of the BC Lions, which would mean there would have to be somebody new stepping in as the OC of the Riders if he were to get that job. There's also word that the Ottawa Redblacks are going to be interviewing Josh Bell for defensive coordinator. This is what happens when teams are successful, and you have to prepare in succession. You never can keep the band together. How did you deal with that? You being like, oh, not again. Or again,
yeah, that's what comes with success. And you have to always keep that in the back of your mind whenever you choose this profession, that guys are going to leave when better opportunities come, and that goes for players and coaches. And you want as much continuity as you can. You want to be the guy, the quarterback that can play in that same system like Bo Levi did in Calgary for all those years. You don't have to learn a new system, new terminology, things like that. So you always wish for that, but at the same time, you understand that this is going to happen whenever just like Coach Mace got his opportunity in Saskatchewan. When you win and you show that you can produce at a high level, other teams are going to come looking for you, and this is no different. And it's going to be an interesting offseason to see where all these pieces land.
Well, when you say that, surprisingly, the Toronto Argonauts, who won the Grey Cup, it's been very quiet on that coaching front that people, and maybe it will in the next few weeks, that people aren't going after more of them. Obviously, Ryan Dinwiddie's going to stay and he's going to be the head coach of the Argos. But there's some coordinators there that took a team that was pretty much by committee and got them to be champions and the ultimate team game in doing that. So I wouldn't see that. You mentioned the Bo Levi and the Calgary Stampeders. It seems in the past 7 days, everybody wants to tee off on the Stampeders, from everything from the coaching staff to the facilities to the cold bagels in the morning and no hot meals. Okay, Darian, you're a free agent, and your agent calls you and says, we got this, this, and this. You got the Riders who got Mosaic and a palace and training facilities and all of that. How much does that factor in? It's not just money. How much does that factor in with where you're going to go play as a professional?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you want to be in a comfortable environment. You want to be, if it's, up to players around the league, you want to have the newer facilities, the updated technology, things that'll get you back on the field faster, recover faster. And the riders and, some of these newer facilities, they have these things. And, it's tough for teams who play in these older buildings to keep up and to catch up with teams who are, who have a little bit more cash flow and a little bit newer facilities. So it's definitely something you look at. And ultimately, you want to go to a situation where you can have success and be on a good team and have other players around you that can help you with that success. But facilities are a huge part of free agents making decisions.
Well, probably one of the things when I was reading online where they were talking about having like the training staff or the medical staff. Maybe you don't like cold blueberry bagels, whatever, stop. If you needed to get, that's one thing. But when it came to like the actual stuff, so talking about when it came to players' health, and I would say safety, I'd be like, oh, geez. To the average fan, we don't realize that it's not all created equal. Now, tell them, is this crazy that in Montreal, to get to practice, or you don't practice there, did you have to ride a school bus or something, or what was the setup there? Do you actually practice at that stadium?
Yeah, you do. It's a bit of a walk from the locker room. You have to walk through Olympic Stadium, up the stairs, up into the practice field. So it's about a 10-minute walk. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot different when.
What?
Yeah, it is every day, every single day. That's how it is. But it's something you get used to. And the veteran guys, some of them may have a bicycle or different. Nowadays you have scooters and these electric scooters that can get the guys from point A to point B without being on your feet so much. But I mean, when it comes to your hot tub, your cold tub, the therapy sessions, the having a masseuse on hand, the meals. Saskatchewan is just number one when it comes to those things. So, it's something that you take for granted when you're looking around the league and you're trying to figure out a situation you want to go into. You don't think about these things, but looking back, it's something that a lot of players should definitely put at the forefront of their decision.
I think that's why a lot of us will always have such respect for the era that you guys played in these teams. And we'll go back to 80 and Fairholman on those guys. Because we know Taylor Field, let's call a spade a spade. It was a bit of a dump and needed. And so you weren't here for any of that. You were here for the football and for the team and all of that. And we knew the sacrifice you guys were making as we looked around because we saw it for years. We were never the richest club. The only time it was ever a level playing field is when the salary cap came in and the riders could actually be in a conversation because no free agents were coming here. And I think that's why we have such respect for you guys for coming here knowing there was no perks. That would be like me and you going to Vegas and staying at Circus while everybody else is staying, I don't know, maybe at Caesars or maybe they're staying at the Cosmo, maybe Resorts World. It's new.
You have to give and take. You have to give and take. Yeah. I would definitely trade in the facilities for the energy, the game day atmosphere, the loyal support of the fans. What we didn't have in facilities and, some of those upgraded things, when it came to game day and the support of Rider Nation, it's nowhere else in the league like that. So it's kind of like a give and take situation.
Yeah, and it's funny. And I saw they're putting in new turf at McMahon Stadium. And I'm like, really? If there is money, if there was a little bit of money to be spent, I didn't think turf was ever the problem. It's everything else with that stadium. Because once you get inside, but maybe, and I don't know, but I was like, really? Is it turf? No, I know that the Grey Cup is going to be there. All right, let's switch gears. Now, we talked about this last hour. It was the game that wouldn't end yesterday. And as a Dallas Cowboy, I could call you a Dallas Cowboy fan. There's a lot of them on this show. Yeah. Luke is one. I saw him tweeting. He said, he put asterisks as quietly as possible. How about them Cowboys? Darian, it was the game that would not end. The Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys in week 12. And I'm like, this is the highlight of the day. It was now. Oh, here we are. Here's some of the highlights. This was crazy. The Turpin kick return with the spinorama.
Yeah.
Okay, but Darian, be honest. After they score this touchdown, there's 2:49 left. Even you as a Cowboys fan, you think there's no way that they could screw this up with 2:49 left, that there's any way that this game could be close or have to lose when they're up 26-17. And
yeah,
then,
man. I mean,
and then watch this. 80 yards. Cowboy. Who's calling? I'm going to say, is Mike Zimmer is he outdated as a defensive coordinator in the NFL these days?
Yeah, I think so.
What would
what
would you call that defense that they were playing?
I don't know, but I will call that not being well coached, or not looking like you're being coached at the highest level of football possible. I mean, some things just you look at it. It's supposed to be professional football, the highest level of football that you could play, and just situational awareness and not understanding what plays you can't give up. You can't afford to give up a big play like that in that situation. And that's just strictly coaching. I mean, coaches have to put guys in situations and always make them situationally aware of what's going on at all times. And that's just horrific situational awareness by the Cowboys there. And, luckily they were able to, get another kickoff return for a touchdown after that.
Curtis run the point after. Now, you seem like you're a good guy, good teammate. But let's be honest. Have you ever wanted to strangle a kicker? Because look at that. You had a chance to tie the game with 21 seconds left.
I wouldn't want the type of pressure that a kicker has. I don't want that pressure, man. You're sitting on the sideline. You get maybe 5-6 plays a game, and then they call you into the game to make or break a game totally, and it's all on your shoulders, and you've been just sitting there. I just don't want that pressure, man. I don't want to be a part of that. So I respect kickers 1,000%. I respect them, and I've never, ever said a word to a kicker because I couldn't imagine the pressure that they go through.
All right, Curtis, and then run the last one here because this wasn't bad enough. And then on the short kick, we get the kick return for a touchdown. It's funny. Only the Dallas Cowboys in the Jerry GM world era does this happen to. Because I was trying to explain to Colson and Curtis, I'm like, 30 years ago, being a Dallas Cowboy fan, you walked around with pride. You had your chest puffed out. You had a starter jacket on. You had 3 Super Bowls. Like, you had Troy Aikman. You had Emmitt Smith. You had Michael Irvin. Like, nobody could say a word to you. And then the past 3 decades have happened.
I know. And it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. So it's still going to be disappointment in Cowboy land for sure.
But here's the thing, watching football yesterday, and there were some games that got interesting at the end, but for week 12 of the NFL, and it just goes to show, like in the CFL, it's hard to get 9 really good starting quarterbacks. And in the NFL, you can't get 32 good starting quarterbacks. Like, you saw just some horrific games. Titans, Texans. Barney said he lost money on the Texans. Vikings, Bears. That was the Dolphins, Patriots was really tough to watch. I tried to watch a couple of minutes of that game, and Tua and Drake May. I'm sorry. Probably one of the bright lights is the Panthers covered the spread against the Chiefs. They only lost by 3.
Yeah.
Like, who would have predicted?
The Panthers have they've been showing some fight here, man. I'm happy to see Bryce Young take his benching and come back and show some fight. Happy to see that from him. Yeah,
and I think Bryce Young unfairly gets criticized. There's a lot bigger problem. Would you agree? There's a lot bigger problems in Carolina than just Bryce Young. It's not just on him.
No doubt about it. They need
trust me, Darian.
Rehaul.
You probably have met some fans over the years that wanted to pin it all on you when it didn't go well in Rider Nation. But you'd be like, listen, I can't.
Of course.
42 other dudes here and a lot of coaches around. But I'm the only guy standing here in Safeway, and you want to chew me out? Okay.
Yeah, that's the tough part about being the guy sometimes, man.
So here, watching the Bronco-Raider game, now all Raider games are hard to watch. I felt bad for Gardner Minshew. He breaks his collarbone on a play he's trying. They're 2-8. They're losing. They're going to be 2-9, and he's kind of a journeyman guy. And I said this earlier. And it sucks that these teams are so rich that winning doesn't matter. Winning is irrelevant because they will be successful money-wise. Like if the Davis family is charging $400 for chicken fingers at Allegiant Stadium and people are showing up and they're buying the merch and the gear, whereas in the CFL, you kind of have to be good. There's a lot of sports leagues where you have to win and be relevant to survive. And it seems like in the NFL, it doesn't matter because the Raiders are going to be just okay. They're terrible on the football field, but bank account wise, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't
when
like
you play in
that.
Las Vegas, yeah, you play in Las Vegas, and a lot of that, and what helps the NFL a lot too is that even though the Raiders are a bad team, you still have Patrick Mahomes coming in. You know, you can play against
Yep.
him twice a year. You still, play against some of the best athletes in the world coming to your stadium. So I'm not sure if the Raider fans even come to see the Raiders or if they're coming to see the stars on their other team. And that's the beauty of the NFL is that you always have a different star or a guy coming in who's just a spectacular player from another team. And when you're in a place like Vegas, who is very, a tourist place, I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
people come there to just see the other team play.
Very transient. But for the true or Raider fans, whether that be Oakland, LA, or now Vegas, let's say you were a season ticket holder and you're spending good money on this, and you know that. You know NFL tickets aren't cheap, even the bad ones, to be like, it's not even competitive. And I feel bad for Max Crosby because he's still out there and he is the one piece of, you can tell he's heart and soul, and he could have given up a long time ago, but he's still out there playing. I don't know. Do you trust the Philadelphia Eagles? Now, Saquon Barkley is off the charts, and they say he could rush for 2,000 yards this year. But do you trust, if you had to today, do you trust the Eagles in the playoffs?
I do, and I just say that because they have Saquon Barkley and they have AJ Brown and they have Devontae Smith. They have these weapons that and there's the same thing I said about the Riders. You need a guy or two who's just a threat, just all over the field, and Philadelphia has three of those guys. So I really think that the only thing that can hold them back is the weather. I mean, if they get a home playoff game and it snows or something like that. Even in that case, it could turn into a Saquon Barkley type of game. He's from Pennsylvania. He's used to it. So I think that they're legit. And, they went to the Super Bowl a few years ago without having a back like Saquon Barkley. So I think adding a home run hitter like him has definitely, solidified them as a legit offense and a legit Super Bowl contender.
All right, couple more here for you, Darian. Tonight it's the battle of the Harbaugh brothers, Jim and Baltimore Ravens in San Diego. No, sorry, San Diego in LA. Sorry, still can't get that. To play John and the Chargers. Who wins tonight, Baltimore or LA?
Man, I think this is going to be a great football game. I like Baltimore. I think that, they always, whenever their backs are against the wall and they're looked at as, games they should win, they lose, they come back and they put on a spectacular performance. They're a good primetime team. So I think Baltimore wins this game. Although we will see a different Chargers team, a more physical team, a team that can really compete with the likes of your best teams in the AFC. But I still think that Baltimore is a better team and they pull it out tonight.
Okay, so Thursday is U.S. Thanksgiving. Give us the breakdown. What is happening at the Durant household on Thursday?
A lot of chaos, first and foremost.
Whoa.
It's going to be hard. Yeah, I mean, with these little ones running around trying to cook and make sure everything is set for dinner. But, the in-laws are in town, parents are in town, and it's going to be a great week of just friends and family and eating. And, the kids are out of school all week. So, it's going to be a time of thanks and just giving praise for the blessings that we have received in our life. And it's going to be a good week and a special Thanksgiving for the Durant family.
Okay, so it's a triple header as always. Bears, Lions, then Giants, Cowboys. Ugh. Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito, I think, was in the Four Seasons, wasn't he? I don't know. And then Dolphins, Packers. But then on Friday, there's a Black Friday game. The Raiders are at the Chiefs. That could be ugly. And we'll wrap on this. the movie Gladiator, have you seen it? And Charleston Hughes said last hour that he thinks the movie Troy with Brad Pitt is better than Gladiator. First of all, have you seen both movies?
Yes, I have. I have. I'm a fan of both.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you which is better because you're like, well, whatever. They're dudes like Gladiator movies. I liked Gladiator because there were some epic movie scenes and speeches in there. Like when he talks about when he says it's Maximus Decimus Meridius and he's the general of the army and all of that. And it's kind of like, whoa, stuff like that. What
Yeah.
movie, in your opinion, has better memorable scenes?
Of course, it's Gladiator when it comes to the scenes and
Okay, good. Good.
just
That's the only answer
what
I
you
wanted.
feel. You could really feel like you were there in the Gladiator scenes and his speeches, and
I
it
know.
just had you on the edge of your seats, of course. But I heard the poll and it was 10-1. Gladiator over Troy, and I just I'm with Charleston on this. I am a Troy fan. I just think that Troy it's just something about being the Lone Ranger, man. And when you're doing a lot of the heavy toting yourself, and there's nothing against Gladiator, but I am a fan of Troy, and I'm with Charleston on that.
We went to Rotten Tomatoes and it only got a 50% score, and Gladiator got 80. Anyways. And then the other thing too, and then the next thing you know, you end up at a party city and you're like, hey, where's a Gladiator costume? And you're like, you don't look like Russell Crowe or Charleston or Russell Crowe or Brad Pitt when you put it on and be like, yeah, no, man, we got to go do something else. Let's go get something with coveralls or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll catch up with you next week. As always, it's Darian Durant. It's Double Talk for Wolf Industries and Prairie Land Rentals.